they spread those bloodlines into the four corners of the known earth at that time, which was one gigantic landmass, Pangea landmass. It talks about that in Assyrian writings, that, you know, at the time when the gods created man, that they spread the different colors to the four corners. I mean, there's stuff in Assyrian writings that talks about that. So what I'm wondering here is if there was an event, and I think there was more than likely what there was an engineered event by some force or something maybe similar to what is talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, that intentionally created a gigantic cataclysm on the earth that spread the land masses throughout the earth. And then, you know, essentially what you would have is these controllers that are sitting back and watching activities on this planet as if it's a big video game, Command and Conquer or something, you know, seeing who was going to survive and who was going to be the winner. So getting back to Rick's question, and I'm sorry that I had to go into that long explanation to address your question, Rick, but again, let me repeat what Rick said. He says, what do you think of the possibility that there might be open and closed worlds controlled by good aliens that are free, and closed worlds controlled systems by like ours that are evil, and that there are warring factions over different portals inside the earth? I think that's a very valid idea. I'm not saying that I necessarily have gotten to that point that you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is that my research into this whole idea that the Pangea was together, a lot more recent in our history than we believe, would go a long way towards what you're saying as far as there being these different portals, and had that landmass been spread out and broke apart like that, you would have had these portals spread apart and a lot farther, greater distance apart as well. I mean, you know, when you look at things like, well, that mountain over by the Nazca lines of Peru, that's the whole top of the mountain's been sheared off, just cut. I mean, just smooth off. Friday, I went to, we went with Delphi's mom. It was her birthday, and we went to Fort Worth to the Kimball Art Museum over there. They have an exhibit going on over there right now. That is the Maya and the Mythic Sea, and it's an interesting exhibit that has all these different Mayan artifacts. We went over there and checked it out. Boy, I tell you what, that was a strange experience, because I don't know, it was, you know, we went up to the front of the exhibit, we walked in, they didn't lay any ground rules down or say, they just, you know, we walked up and went in, and it wasn't about 2 seconds, I was like 3.5, 4 feet away from one of these pieces, and I was pointing at it, and this lady, within like 10 seconds of being in the exhibit, this lady walks over and says, "Oh, you can't get that close to the exhibit. This has sensor alarms, and you're gonna set it off." And I'm like, well, number one, most museums and stuff that I've seen, most of the time they don't want you being close to something. They have ropes around it, right? And if you reach the perimeter of those ropes, then it sets off an alarm. None of this stuff had ropes in it or anything else. And so I was like 3 or 4 feet away, and it just seemed like that every time we started, because, I mean, it was, you know, all this stuff was horse shit. I mean, horseshit descriptions of what this stuff was. Clearly, this was showing the Mayans' interpretations of their gods and extraterrestrials and everything else. And it just and then Jamie's boyfriend Chris, he was pointing at something that was in a glass case, literally just pointing at it, not touching the glass case, but pointing at something that was in a glass case. And they came over and said something to him, and he just, you know, said, "Fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm going to go sit at the front of the exhibit." But they were all over us, man, like white on rice. Everything we'd talk about and discuss, and we weren't being loud and you know, we weren't just in there going, "Oh, this is horseshit." We were being very respectful and quiet. But they did not like the fact that we were pointing out, you know, these bullshit explanations. Like there was this one, it was like a vase or something, and it said, "Oh, this is a depiction of a Mayan with a shark." It wasn't a shark, dude. It was a fucking dragon. There was another one where it had some sort of serpent iconography, and there was a guy obviously smoking a fucking hooter mongan, tripping out, going into the spirit world and seeing these demons or these entities or whatever they was. and on the little paper description below the thing, it said, this is a Mayan smoking a cigar. Oh, yeah, he's smoking a cigar with reptilian extraterrestrials in space all around him. Yeah, it's a cigar. Yeah, he just went and got him a Cohiba down at the 7-Eleven and puffed it up and started seeing space serpents. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what that is. It was ridiculous. But what I'm saying is that there's, you know, there's, you could, it was beyond any sort of doubt that what these Mayans were talking about was, you know, that there are the water and portals and stuff and like that were very much where their gods came from. And there was another one that had these little figurines. And next to this little Mayan on a figurine, there was one that had like a spaceman outfit on. It was like, it looked like a diver's suit, you know, a spacesuit. That's what it looked like. And right next to it, there was one with a little Mayan, and he was standing next to a gigantic kangaroo. Pouch, belly, kangaroo. And they were going, yeah, a lot of kangaroos in South America, aren't they? A lot of kangaroos in Mexico, huh? And that's when I was saying, well, you know, if you believe in the Pangea theory being a lot, you know, sooner in history than we believe, then Australia would have been pushed up right up against the coast of Africa and South America right in there. So you probably would have had kangaroos there then, and that's what that was depicting. And the lady who was there at the exhibit said, oh, that's a deer spirit there. Yeah, that's a deer. And we're like, no, that's a that's a kangaroo. No, it's a deer spirit. Okay. So it's just it's fascinating to see not only these horseshit explanations, but how scared they are of people even discussing things that are, you know, it's a dogma. You know, you can't even discuss any sort of explanation for anything other than what the establishment tells you is considered to be a threat. And that's why I cannot get over the fact that people who follow the phony control patriot movement can't see that they're being sold the same thing. Anything that anything that somebody says that Alex Jones doesn't say has to be wrong. That's a dogma. That's a cult mentality dogma that is no different from organized religion or anything else. But people don't seem to see it that way. It's crazy. Well, we're going to take a break and come back, and we'll get into more news and information. Global Reality Monday edition. Be back in a few minutes. Stay with us.